Another day. You can probably hear the lathe in the background just warming up. It's going to be doing a bunch of drilling and reaming and just work for the next few days. So it's going to be doing its own thing. As it's working today, I'm probably going to laser out those shipping tray carriers. I meant to do it on Friday, just got sidetracked with a bunch of other stuff. And then possibly get a little bit of CAD work done on a product that I'd like to release before Christmas. It's just kind of like a parallel product that goes with my pens, but I need to start prototyping it so I can print prototype so I can test it to make sure everything is going to actually work out the way I intend it to before I bring it into titanium. So let's get into that. When I'm done machining for the day, I just leave the lathe in its last state and let all the oil drain out of the chips. The oil will drain and then go back into the sump. This lathe uses neat oil, it doesn't use coolant, so you're kind of just reusing the oil all the time. You don't really you don't add water to it. It's just pure oil, and it's relatively expensive, so I want to save as much of it as I can. So letting it drain out of the chips works well. And then I fill those big totes and I just take them in for recycling once they're all full. And it's just going to do its drilling thing. So while it's doing that, we can work with other machines. So while the lathe is doing its pen body thing, I'm loading up the laser with chipboard to machine or to laser the little pen tray holders. I don't even know what I'm calling those things. It holds the little triangle boxes inside the shipping boxes, presents pretty to the customer, but honestly, it just makes packing up orders so much easier for me, which is why I do it. The nice thing about these two cycles is the cycle on the laser and the cycle on the lathe match in time, so I can just kind of casually walk back and forth and keep both machines occupied without falling over myself, which is kind of the goal. So drilling should be done today, which is lovely. We can move on to reaming tomorrow. And here I'm just populating the storage bin for all my pens with those printed holders that I printed over the last few episodes. This should just keep all the pen parts nice and organized, let me easily see if I'm missing a part, and then keep them from bumping into each other once they're finished. Because that's annoying. When a finished pen gets slightly scratched and I have to refinish it, very annoying. Here you can see I'm putting a Zerk pen that I'm working on in the little tray because I've been working on this thing forever and I don't want to lose parts and I don't want to scratch parts. But the cool thing about this is I put all the parts in here and then I had one little extra piece of Zerk that I was trying to find a home for. Not that piece, but this piece that I can't fit in there. And that's why I printed this thing, to prevent stuff like this, to keep my lazy brain, focused. My laser is a K40 laser, and I put a few modifications on it. Here's a little OLED display that gives me some stats on the tube. I put a flow valve or flow rate meter on the back so I can see how much water is going to the tube, because it's really important on CO2 lasers to keep the tube cool, and if flow rate stops, the tube gets too hot, and then basically it's done. So for what this thing cost me and how much it cost me to modify, it has paid for itself so many times over. I will eventually buy a nicer laser, but for right now, this thing is working well. It actually runs on an Arduino, running a Gerbil shield and some other little Arduinos I have running some of that tube monitoring stuff. But I had no idea I would use this thing as much as I do, and I planned to laser a cover for that years ago. Haven't got to it yet, but that's a tale for another day. Here's something fun about taking a ton of video footage of your day to day is this is a pen box that holds 3 orders. So like if someone buys 3 pens, I package it up in foam because doing the origami for the cardstock is I haven't done it yet. So this is how the pen boxes go in there. I was just trying to figure it out in my head how everything stacks up so I can prep a bunch of these. But one thing I noticed on this box is once I packed it up, or this one I should say, there's an oil stain right there where my right hand is. And I couldn't figure out how it ended up there. But here I can see it came from the side of my hand. And I was scratching my head trying to figure out where the hell the oil came from. So anyways, I use that box for something else now. It's just, it's annoying that the oil was hiding on my hand that long. That's the one problem about an oil machine. I love an oil machine. I love the finishes I get out of it. I love the tool life I get out of it. Contamination goes everywhere. It's crazy how easy it is to contaminate things. This is the only piece of foam that now goes into the pen boxes, which I could probably honestly get rid of, but it just keeps things a little more secure and a little bit more protected. So until I'm certain that I don't need it, I'll continue to use it. Thankfully, I only have to cut one size now, which is lovely, and I only have to use like 1 or 2 per order, so it just makes life way easier. I used to cut so much foam, which lasers rock at doing. This is the engraving tool I use for all my engraving. It's a 1/32 inch ball mill, and the only time I ever break it is dropping it. The tool just seems to last forever. So obviously, I dropped the tool holder off camera here and had to replace it. So I'm swapping out some new blanks, just double checking that the Z offset hasn't changed. Then I'm going to touch off the new little 1/32 inch tool, and then I'll go ahead and run all the engraving. I also check the runout on all these small tools, just because they're super sensitive to it. So I just give a quick double check. I have a clock position on the spindle, so I always put the tool holder back in the same position. And yeah, good to go. This is my day to day, walking between machines. It looks like I'm flying between machines, but it's keeping them both occupied, building pens, and just yeah, I enjoy this. This is fun. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye bye.